No.
Yeah, I took and signed them. I always get them after the meeting and I had a blue ink pen. I don't know how that happened.
Yep. Good. Every time I come in,
Oh, mine's on.
These guys turn the camera on. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please make sure your phones are on silent. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Becky.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alex, roll call, please.
Libby,
Here.
Tanya,
Here.
Fritz,
Here.
Robert,
Here.
Becky.
Here.
I declare we have a quorum. Okay, can I get a motion to recess the council meeting so we can have a public hearing on the sewer rate amendment?
I'll make a motion to recess the council meeting in order to have the public hearing for the sewer rate amendment.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Joe, sewer rate amendment?
Yeah, this is something I can talk about a little bit. The council has already had the first reading on ordinance 2020-6A, and that is an ordinance to amend the sewer rate ordinance. It does not add any increase to our current customers. What it does do is, it adds a capacity fee to our ordinance to allow us to charge an additional $1,700 for connection for those inside the corporate limits, and an extra $2,550 for those outside the corporate limits. That fee is necessary to help with some of the upsizing and the plant expansion, sewer main expansion that we're going to need due to the new developments that are coming to town. The idea is to have the new development pay for the cost of upsizing and improvements rather than put that burden on our current ratepayers. With that, we've got a public hearing this evening.
Is this where I ask people from the public? Okay. Anybody from the public want to speak about the rate change on the sewer? Okay. Thank you.
Make a motion, we close the public hearing.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Can I get a motion to, I need a motion to reconvene the council meeting now?
No, I would like to ask Alex, next steps on this then, just to
Okay. Sorry.
wrap that up. Just for anybody.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Take minutes and do this as well.
Yeah, it's number
Yeah,
4.
it's unfinished
Okay.
business down further on the agenda.
Gotcha. Yep. Sorry about that.
That's okay. You want to make a motion to reconvene?
Make a motion to reconvene.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, new business. Council to approve input and consider holding first reading of ordinance number 2020-7B, rezoning approximately 6.25 acres at 215 South Madison Street from industrial general to planned unit development for the Madison Village Senior Housing and Workforce Housing Plan Commission public hearing scheduled for Tuesday, July 28th at 6:30.
All right, good evening. For the record, I'm Adam Zaklikowski, the Planning and Building Director for the town of Fortville. So I won't rehash what you had just mentioned, what's in the agenda. But I won't do a full-blown presentation for this because we're really just looking for your feedback based on the materials that were sent out. I did want to mention that there is a neighborhood meeting that the developer is putting on. That'll be July 23rd from 6:30 to 7:30 at the Fortville Community Center. So certainly anybody from the public or any of you all are welcome to learn more and to even provide some input there as well. What I can tell you is Pete Schweigerot of MVAH Partners is here in the audience tonight. He can probably answer some basic questions that you have. But I do know that that company, MVAH, we've perused their website. They've done quite a few other projects in Ohio, really a lot of different parts of the country, kind of all east of the Mississippi. So the good news is there's a lot of different things based on other projects that they've done, generate some ideas on what might be a good fit here. I think overall at this point, we'll be taking a look carefully at the development standards, and we'll be getting those from a staff perspective. We'll be getting those comments to the developer. Overall, it's consistent with what was put into the Stellar application. So this project was basically the backup for the workforce housing component. If you remember, there was one on Broadway that was planned, so that one fell through, and now they're looking to take advantage of those tax credits. Being honest, the only thing that I'm a little on the fence about is the height of the buildings at 4-story. And Pete had mentioned that they really need, at this point, that height in order to accommodate the units so they can make the project pencil out. So that's understandable. They are committing to some good development standards, a lot of brick, hardy plank siding, undulation on the buildings. So I think at this point, that's the only thing that really sticks out in my mind that is worth taking pause over.
The size.
Yeah. But other than that, I can say that they've been very accommodating, trying to work together on a good project for the community. So I feel confident that we can try to work through issues. But with that, I'd be happy to hear your feedback and comments that you all have on this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Libby, do you have any questions for Adam?
I don't right now.
Tanya?
I am looking forward to, I know now's not exactly the right time, but I'm looking forward to even more of what that looks like, both external and internal, and some of the price points on this workforce housing. You know, what does that look like? Which I know that's a little further down the road. And parking is always a question that pops up, so I'd be more interested in hearing some more about the parking requirements. Those are just some of the initial ones that came out as I look through here. And obviously, I'm very curious if there's any discussion, and it's down the road, but what about the rest of the parcels for closer to Broadway? And is the library going to be approached and maybe trying to work and fit in on this as well? Those are all things that come to mind.
Becky?
Nothing.
I think it's a good use of the land too, because that backs up to the railroad tracks on this project and leaves the front for more commercial and retail. I like that project. I happen to be in Muncie today because I have a business up there also, and I stopped in at the building that they have up there. It's a 100-year-old building that they've renovated, and I talked to some of the residents there, the older, and they were happy with the whole project, the layout, the amenities and everything. So they did a good job with the customers.
I see. I haven't said the developer is here. If you want.
Oh, okay. You want to come up and talk? Okay.
Hope you can hear me all right. This is my first public meeting trying to be mass, so thank you for giving us some time tonight and our considerations. Pete Schweigerot with MVAH Partners. As mentioned, we've been doing housing development for over 25 years. Our very first one's down in Lawrenceburg. still own it, still manage it. Just 5 years ago, completed an $11 million renovation. So we do take pride in long-term community participation and ownership, and look forward and hopefully being a member of your community. We really brought forward a concept. The whole goal was to really try to provide a multi-generational housing development here where we could serve families of all needs, sizes, and ages within one development. So there would be a phase of workforce development that would cater to the young professional folks just starting their careers, possibly some very small families. We're thinking to keep it on the smaller side of things from a unit size, trying to capture young starter families with the density of the building, proximity of the railroad. We weren't trying to encourage large families. But then in addition to that, being able to allow for your seniors to age in place and stay in your community. The 55 plus senior independent living is a great option for that. And so having these in a campus with buildings that are very consistent and can kind of play off each other to feel like it's one development is the goal for the northern portion of the property. And those two phases are the part of the site that we would be acquiring and applying for funding for. On the south side of the site, we are facilitating, helping the owner with the rezoning there. And the goal there is a mixed use concept where first floors would be required to be commercial and to have heavy focus on commercial, but they would have the opportunity to potentially bring you back something that might be mixed use with some residential components above that as well. I do not know exactly where they are, can't speak for them, but they are certainly moving and looking forward to staying in the community. And do have some very good, big hopes that this can kind of be a nice, strong anchor for the community. And I know they want to work with you on that phase when they're ready. Ultimately, though, we are going to be able to bring you a much more detailed concept plans for the residential components that we hope to bring forward. In total, each section, each phase, around 50 to 60 units. I think the plans right now show about 57 aside. Total around 12 million in development per phase. So hopefully with this development, we can bring $24 million worth of new investment, as well as my goal is to house 100 families in your community with 100% accessible buildings built to enterprise green building standards, super high energy efficient buildings. And we are going to be doing special attenuation to the building envelope to make sure we keep a nice insulated and quiet internal building. We are aware of where we are with the railroad, and we got some creative ways that we're going to try and keep ourselves separated from that. So certainly appreciate your time. Welcome everybody to the meeting later this week and look forward to having further conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we've all come accustomed to the train, so we don't even hear it. I live right on the tracks. Do we have any public comment? Any questions from the public on this project? Okay. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to move forward. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2020-7B, a rezone of approximately 6.52 acres of 215 South Madison Street by title only.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey.
Okay. The second new business, council to provide input and consider holding first reading of ordinance number 2027C, a PUD text amendment to the Windstone PUD allowing for brick, wrought iron style aluminum fencing. Adam?
So for this particular item, we had received a request from some residents in Windstone that wanted to have the option to be able to do black aluminum wrought iron style fencing in the neighborhood. Right now in the planned unit development documents, the only two fencing types that's allowed are the wood shadow box style and vinyl covered black chain link. So they basically wanted to have a third option. So in this case, the Plan Commission actually has the ability to do a Plan Commission initiated text amendment to the PUD. And that would save the residents basically the fee from doing that. And so they initiated it. They held a public hearing on the matter on June 30th. We didn't hear anything from the public. We mailed out yellow cards to everybody explaining what the request was about. So the feedback that we've seen online and just hearing anecdotally is there seems to be overwhelming support, not 100% like anything, but overwhelming support for allowing that option for residents. So if you were to hold first reading tonight, then we would bring it back for second reading on August 3rd. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to address those.
Any questions?
No.
No? Hey, anybody from the public want to talk about the fencing in Winston? Okay, thank you.
Make a motion to move forward with ordinance number 2020-7C, an ordinance amending ordinance numbers 2002-12B and 2003-6A regarding fences in Winston.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, this one that we're gonna hold up is, did we want to bring up Paul? He's here. Or do you still want me to read this off or just?
No, he has to have this removed from the agenda this evening.
Okay. We're gonna remove C.
No, I was mainly just here for questions if anybody had.
Okay, thank you. Council to consider approving for Vernon Township budget.
So just for clarification, this is for the Vernon Township Fire Territory budget that we've all sat in on, 2 for sure, some of us 3, some of us more, meetings of that. And it's been exactly the same as you all have already seen. I know Flory is here. If you guys have any questions, you feel free to ask me any questions regarding the budget first. Do have a little bit of information you guys might like to hear after that, which is kind of exciting. But as far as the budget goes, any questions, I'm happy to entertain. And Flory's here too, if you want her to come up.
Is there any questions from the public on the fire territory budget?
Or even what it is. Okay. The fire territory itself, right? Okay, no questions for Flory?
No.
From
I
any
don't
of
have
you
any.
guys?
I think you've covered it at the last 2 or 3 meetings.
I don't know if we're sick of it. It's really important, but, so I guess that's the first part there. So, and it is here in your packet as well. Again, right here.
And then if people want this is on your online. For the
Joe, this
public.
is online
Okay.
too.
Should be.
Ooh, that thing's heavy.
It is.
It is heavy.
A lot of time put into that.
Okay, you wanna,
Yep. So I make a motion to move forward and approve the Vernon Township Fire Territory budget as presented.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next on the, is council to consider accepting the.
Hold on a second.
Oh, I'm
Hold on a second here. The exciting part of the news I was telling you about. And so that it was a big decision. And again, Flory can talk about it some more if she'd like. But one of the things that they had already done was approve the purchase of a new ambulance. And then one of the first things we did at our meeting was we approved the purchase of 2 new fire engines. So, and that is huge and very much in need. So you're more than welcome to go into more detail.
And I'll just briefly say, you all know the situation with the equipment is quite bad. Our ambulances and our ambulance and our fire engines are all between 18 and 30 years of old, as you've heard me say many, many times. Last week we had to borrow both an ambulance and a fire truck, as you probably saw in my email. Fisher's was good enough to support us, and Buck Creek, again, good enough to support us. When we put in the orders, it takes more than a year to get this equipment. It's very, very expensive, as you can imagine. It's going to be more than $1 million for the 2 fire engines, but we have taken the the CUME fund that we've been collecting for many, many years. And in addition to that, I just want to say the donation of $130,000 from the Fortville Volunteer Fire Department when they closed is what is allowing us to make this step forward. So huge commitment from this town to make that happen. And we appreciate the support moving forward. It's critical that we do it as soon as possible. So thank you.
Thank you.
Again, 12 months. 12 months before we see those guys. So I thought that was exciting news.
It is.
Thank you. Council to consider accepting the donation of Hampton Field Park. Joe? Oh, shoot. Okay.
I should have just
You should
stated.
say.
So a little background, I think everybody knows Hampton Fields sits in the middle of the Fortville Park. We have worked closely with Heath over this past year, and the township board voted at our last meeting that they would donate Hampton Park to the town of Fortville outright with no cost. So there is a resolution for you to consider. I don't know if Adam and Joe may want to make some additional comments on that. We have passed on the price, which is primarily mowing. We partner with Optimus, just like Heath does with the other portions of the field. It just has seemed relatively silly that we have a park that is split into by two entities. I also understand that there may be some opportunity for you to use a portion of the parking lot for your needs on the water side. So it just seems like it makes sense. We are actually doing the exact same thing in McCordsville, and they have voted to accept Old School Park. We will officially take the township out of the parks business and really move it to the towns as we believe that it should be. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think you've got the resolution.
Well, Alex, I have two. It looks like there's a difference in,
Yeah, one's for the town, one's the township. You look at the signature page.
Yeah, so the way that the law works on this is when governmental entities are transferring real property to another governmental entity, you have to adopt substantially similar resolutions, so that's why your resolution looks almost identical to the
Got it.
township's.
is this 7A?
And we're only signing one document. We're not
Yes.
signing all.
Yeah.
My
Yes.
records show that it would be the first resolution passed this month. It should be able to do that. I don't see no, we can correct it.
Okay. Make a motion, we approve resolution number 7A, a resolution of Town of Fortville, Hancock County, approving the donation of real property from Vernon Township, Hancock County.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, if I could, I probably should have this on the word. We talked earlier about expanding onto the water treatment plant, and this is gonna allow us the little space to do that, so it's gonna be very beneficial to the town for the water as well. And then also this, the effective date on this is January 1 of 2021. So that's gonna close.
Thank you. Request of a hearing to dispute wastewater charges.
May I comment?
Yeah, please.
Good evening, council and council members. My name is Adam Strand. I'm representing myself as council. I'm a deputy prosecutor here in Madison County. I just moved in here in May with my fiance, moved into the Davis Homes neighborhood. Subsequently, when we first moved in, Davis Homes put in amount of sod for us in our yard with no credit for the water into that. As a result, I've been having to keep it watered continuously. And for the first amount, I did not send in a dispute letter. It was for 15 days, and I had well over about $80 in wastewater. The amount of water usage, I have no complaints about. But for the new one here, I should say, for some background information, we are the first house that just moved in, and Davis Homes had about 3 or 4 spec homes left over. They've been watering those on their own. in paying for that. So we've been stuck with the bill for that. And really, I received the bill from May 15th through June 15th, in which I received over about $255 in waste billed to me when I usually, I believe right here was $110 in the water meter itself. Essentially, I'm just requesting maybe a 3-month variance from the ordinance currently, just to get the yard going. Honestly, they've planted bushes, trees for us in the back. They seeded it. I'm trying to get it going. I have an HOA I have to meet where I have to use reasonable means to keep the yard in good shape. And I'm doing my best just as a new neighborhood, new to the town. I'm trying to get a nice house going. I just think in public interest, I think it'd be good. Davis Homes has been nothing but nice to us about getting the yard, providing that to us. But the question arises, as I discussed with Joe, well, why Davis Homes isn't responsible for this? The only guarantee or contractual provision they have of the landscaping was installation itself. After that, it's up to me. And I have a neighbor, she's having her sod installed today, this evening. I anticipate she's going to be stuck with a bill as well. I don't anticipate this to be an every year thing. I called in regards to an adjustment. I previously lived in Pendleton. We received an adjustment for some lawn care we did, which I understandably was informed that you guys don't do adjustments, and the ordinance had changed a couple of years ago. So really my argument is just, I would really appreciate a variance from May and possibly till September to honestly keep my grass alive. Honestly, if I let the sod die, which potentially is about $4,000 worth of sod, I'm going to have to be footing the bill for that, let alone my neighbors will not be watering their grass. It's going to really hinder the neighborhood itself from prospering since it's brand new. I really, that's essentially my argument, was just the short-term variance on that. And I would like any questions, feedback. I'd be more than happy to discuss this. And I do appreciate your time. It's not something you really want to hear with everything going on, but I just had some concern with that. With my, I'm essentially on government pay with deputy prosecutor. I'm 2 years out of law school, and my fiance's an ER nurse in the community. So we're really trying to keep the yard as nice as possible, but having a $423 bill for water for keeping the yard, it just seems unreasonable. So that's why I just wanted some time to discuss it with you all.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think, Libby, do you, do you have any comment or anything, Tanya? My thing is, what are the other communities doing around us? And I know we're probably going to hear more about this with the next, because we're going to have more and more houses coming.
I'm wondering if we shouldn't just bring the sprinkling credit back for everybody in the summer.
That would be suicide for your water utility.
Pardon?
That would be suicide for your water utility. Everybody would water so much because there wouldn't be any incentive to conserve, because their bill wouldn't be going up and our water plant would not keep up with that today. If there was not something on there that would deter people from, using a lot of water and conserving, we wouldn't be able to keep up with even the domestic use of the summer.
How often are you watering?
So essentially, after discussing with the landscape company, first month has to be twice a day to keep it wet. With the heat, it can range. After that, I usually just water it nightly. And now I just do spots. I don't do the whole yard. Typically, it's one area when it browns up. I'm just trying to keep it alive. We have a new tree that they planted in front, bushes, some hostas. So really, it's been every other night now ever since this water bill, until I can discuss this. I understand what the governor's order. I didn't go ahead and discuss this with Joe. That's why I really haven't paid it. But so I'd say in the last month and a half, it's been every other night. So I'd say 3 nights a week, 4 at most. If it rains, I don't water for 2 days. I understand the tax credit, the sprinkler credit or the irrigation credit coming from there. And I have no problem paying obviously the waste I use from the house itself. I'm working from home, handling port from there. So I totally understand that. It just essentially after the first bill and the second bill, I mean, at this point, if I stop watering, it's really going to die out because I have to keep it for a year. That's what this suggests is not heavy watering after 3 months, but consistent watering to keep it alive. Because if it burns out, it will not grow back like grass after a year. It's time to settle in, mature. It's an issue that is annoyingly enough, and I miss the days I have to worry about that. But the realism is I've been battling this out to keep the other spec homes. The grass has totally died out. Davis Homes stopped taking care of it, which technically, I read in the HOA, they're violating their own HOA. I just don't want to be that person yet, first person in the neighborhood to complain about it. But at the end of the day, we've invested over $5,000 in landscape in our house, and we use that from the equity we had in our house in Pendleton because we want to come to Fortville. So that's really where we're at right now.
So it was a choice to sod your yard and not seed it?
The choice.
Or is that not a choice with them?
Oops, I interrupt you. They sodded the front and back for us. It was part of a landscape package that came with the house. I did discuss declining that to plan on our own. But the first day of possession that came out had a landscape company essentially cleared the dirt, they remove the rocks, plant the sod, and then the bushes that come in the landscape packaging, and they leave. They have hoses there that turn on the water, and that's pretty much it. It's at our discretion. I have 24 hours to dispute any installation, but outside that, I never really anticipated the water bill being as it is, but I do understand the background circumstances of the water treatment facility, but that's pretty much.
I think, Robert, this happened, what, a few years ago when you were on the council? And that's when they started.
With sod? No, we
Well,
talked
not
about the
sod,
sprinkler
but,
credit, yeah. The
yeah.
sprinkler credit just became too burdensome, and I think Joe put it pretty simple, right? I mean, we call it a sprinkler credit, and I understand the thought behind it, but as the town continued to grow, and Joe can speak to this much better than I can, but, there is no incentive, right? I mean, if you let your hose run out there on the ground, there's no incentive. I mean, it's still water is getting used, right? And so, but you're talking about, I can kind of relate a little bit in that, fill a swimming pool, right? I still got to pay the wastewater part on that, but it's still a whole lot cheaper than my alternative, right? So I do it. But a couple things. I get what you're saying. I do, and it's kind of a stinker to hear what you're saying and having to do, and can be costly. It's one of those things that we have to be very careful, because if we say, yeah, sure, I mean, we kind of feel bad for this predicament you're in. We want you to have a nice yard, contribute to the neighborhood and such. And again, this is just me, but if we did that, then we're setting the precedent. And Alex, correct me if I'm wrong, that basically forego any of the sod. We're basically saying, we're going to help you sod and seed and water until your sod gets going. And we don't have the capacity to do that as we continue to grow. And that's the dangerous part there, I would think. And again, I'm no attorney, so you can chew that up all you want. But it's one of those things that that's my first concern. And the second one is something that we probably should have seen coming. You didn't. You've already said that, right? You didn't expect that. And so that's just my two main points that come to my mind initially.
Right. And I talked to Joe about, maybe getting with the builders and say, hey, you need to explain to, at closing or something like that, so people aren't caught off guard. And maybe a lot of times, maybe they'll put off landscaping, planting the bushes until fall.
Well, even more so at closing and letting them know when the package was chosen. Hey, look, you realize when you do this, this is what you're looking at as far as the watering to keep this stuff alive, right? And especially in, we've got how many days in a row at 90 degrees, right? That's probably contributing to it. So maybe you got a point there as far as holding off a little bit. I don't know. I'd let Adam and Joe make those decisions as far as that is. But
Well, and as residents, we've all been asked already to water sparingly. I think my days are Wednesdays and Saturdays. I'm never available on those days. So my yard's not looking very pretty too. We're talking about landscaping, but talking about pushing it off until the fall for that same reason. I don't know that we could afford to do it for everyone.
Right.
I mean,
Unless you could offer some kind of, for new homeowners, and give them X amount, like 3 months, 4 months, or whatever, to get their grass set or whatever. When I built my new house in Timber Ridge. I just didn't put any landscaping in.
Council, if I may comment, I'm not asking for the essentially the ordinance change. I'm just asking for a short-term variance.
Yeah.
I understand the precedent you do not want to lay. The argument I'm having is essentially I'm moving right into a brand new build in a developing town where I'm responsible for keeping the yard up to date. I'm not moving into something that already has an existing yard. And I'm trying to keep it up to date and make the neighborhood look as nice as possible. As a public policy argument, I understand where you're coming from with the water. I'm not trying to simply state that every resident of Fortville should have the opportunity. I'm just asking for a short-term, 3-month, 4-month variance, just personally for me. Next summer, it can die out, it's gonna come back. I completely understand that. And to address the argument in regards to laying the sod in the fall, spring and fall are common times. They state that, this is talking to the landscape company, usually up to Memorial Days, the latest they'll want to lay it. Unfortunately, I saw them lay today, so really I don't think they follow that. So that causes me concern. Obviously, it's going to be August very soon. They're going to have to water that 3 times a day. And she's a single mom. She's going to be stuck with that bill. She doesn't know it coming. And as soon as I was heading here, they were just finishing up. But it was laid right in May, and I have no discretion when I can have it laid. It's up to the builder. And I have a package option, they tell me, and essentially I can either take the package or be stuck with an extra, hypothetically, $3 to $4 grand on my own instead of investing it into my house and property itself. And but mainly, I do not want you all to take away that I'm trying to argue for a change in the ordinance for everyone, just a short-term variance, just for personally my residents. I'm not trying to establish the precedent that anyone can come up and personally ask for it to have an existing yard. It's just my argument is it's a brand new facility and I'm trying just to get it going. That way until next year, I can let it just die out for once and it's gonna come back in the fall. But if I don't, I'm gonna be stuck with $4 to $5 grand next year trying to replace it and then having to water again and dealing with the same issue. And I mean, at this point, I completely understand my water usage, but for an irrigation credit, it's going into the grass or it's being evaporated, and we pay $10 a month in the sewage waste. So essentially, I just, as a side argument, I just struggle to understand the idea of the wastewater treatment facility treating the water that is not going to the facility, but it's going into the yard. You guys have done this a lot more than I have. I have no problem with the treatment of water I'm actually using for dishwashers, et cetera. That's completely reasonable. But it's just the circumstances I've been handling, and I just wanted to discuss it with you just for a short-term variance and be as reasonable, non-confrontational as possible. Because this is a small issue, but at the end of the day, $423 on a brand new build, I'm not going to be letting it die and not have very much funds to invest into my property or keep it up to date. And I think just the neighborhood in general is just going to look horrible. It's not going to entice new people to move in when they see a horrible yard moving in. Fortville's up and coming, and I think the neighborhood has great potential, but there are minor problems that could be dealt with the developer or the builder themselves, but I was not aware, and I'm doing the best I can with the cards I'm handed.
Alex? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No.
I was just curious as to some of the, pros, cons of this you see.
The biggest is what you mentioned, setting a precedent under the policies as they are right now. And so Mr. Strahan is distinguishing what he's asking from what Becky had suggested about just bringing back the sprinkler credit for all utility customers. And so I think that it's worth discussion, as far as Tanya, you mentioned this as well. With new homeowners, or it's within, you have a grace period within X number of months or weeks from occupancy of new construction. That would be something different, but if you went that path, I would suggest actually amending the utility policy to have that, so that it's clear and new homeowners don't have to come in and ask for a variance each time. Because as it stands right now, although Mr. Strahan is not asking you to change the policy, he's just asking for a variance, which you're allowed to do. You're allowed to wipe out these fees under our policies if you deem appropriate. But in this situation, with this ask, without changing the policies, I think you would be setting that precedent for all homeowners.
What do you think is appropriate? Like, when you got your bill, knowing how much you're watering, you had another home before?
Yes, we lived in downtown Pendleton.
So you paid, yeah. So what did you think getting your water bill? Like, did you go, oh, I don't want to open this one? Because I've done that before. Don't want to open that Macy's credit card bill. What did you think it was going to be?
I kept the yard up to date in Pendleton, replanted, seeded, and the water bill wasn't as much as that. But this is a whole yard I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with about a quarter of an acre.
Yeah.
Whereas I had an acre back in Pendleton downtown. I was lucky enough for that. My thoughts, I was instantly enraged until I had time to calm down about it. Just that I've been trying to get it going as a new house, set a precedent that's going to be a nice neighborhood. That was instilled in me by my parents. Have a nice neighborhood, it accrues nice people,
Sure.
Good homeowners. If you have a bad yard, don't take care of it. Who does it attract? It's people you don't want.
And I respect that. I'm just wondering, like, you're asking for a variance. Do you not want to pay your bill?
No,
Do you want to pay it later? Do you want to, like, what do you want to do?
My request is, I have no problem paying for the amount of water and a reasonable amount on waste. It's hard to calculate. That's the thing I've been trying to think of the water usage, a reasonable amount for wastewater. But I have no problem. My request is I have no problem paying for the sewage, the actual water meter itself, the water usage, but it's actually just the waste itself. I request some sort of variance on that itself, just for me personally. I understand the precedent argument by council, but I think at the end of the day, you have a public policy argument, and I think that's going to overshadow everyone else in town is going to be going into these new neighborhoods saying, hey, should I upgrade? Should I invest in my property? They see bad yards. I don't think they're going to be interested. You're not going to pull other people from different communities. The money side and setting the precedent is something to take into consideration. It's not reasonable to think that. But what I'm asking for is just strictly just for the wastewater charge from May until at least the beginning of September or the end. Just the year alone. I'm not going to be back bothering you guys again. I just need to be able to water and keep it alive. And I mean, I have the opportunity. My father is the director of facilities at St. Vincent, and they have irrigation credits and also they have meters where it calculates the water usage on the irrigation. And I had the opportunity to use that where I come in, discuss it, say, hey, this is the water I'm using for irrigation purposes. They have that. They also have it for, when they cool off the machines and the water evaporates. They don't charge them for waste because it just evaporates. They're not treating the actual water. So I've been trying to look into that avenue because it's just something difficult to calculate. But that's pretty much what I'm asking. I'm not asking just to get away with it, not pay nothing. I'm just asking specifically with the wastewater, a short-term variance, May until the beginning of September, end of September, and from there. And if I may address your argument with swimming pool, I understand a swimming pool, it's more of a leisure thing at this point for an individual to put in for their own purpose. I think at that point, it's up to you to put that water in there. You want to build a pool, you got the money to put a pool in, you got the money to put more water in it. But at this point, just the basic essentials of a yard. I either have bare dirt right below it and my shrubs, everything dies out. There was no previous owner. This is all up to me. So just all due respect, that's really what I'm not attacking, but more of addressing is just the wastewater charge that I'm being charged when essentially it's just irrigation.
I would want to put caution on that because if we give you a variance, that means you can just turn the water on, just run it 24/7 out there. And that's the only bad thing about that. So if there's any way around, part of that would be we would have to write up a certain amount of this as a variance or whatever. I'm not.
If I could add, if you remember the last council meeting we had, the council did adopt a policy amendment for water leaks where people were, they didn't have a choice, something unforeseen that it would allow us to adjust for that particular sewer off of that bill. And when we adjust for sewer bill, what we do is we go back to previous 3 months and we use an average of the previous 3 months. The issue we have here, he
You don't
doesn't
have
have a history, so we don't know how much we would have used. And then also on our sewer bill, there's a minimum charge of 2506. And then there's charge on top of that for the water that's actually used. And I don't know how we would estimate what your normal domestic use would be.
Could we pick a flat rate maybe and charge a flat rate just for new homes? On,
Yeah, because I wouldn't want to just make it carte blanche.
no, I don't
because it
either,
would
but
just
could we just
overwater
pick a
and then
flat, you know,
We would be
try
in
to find
trouble.
something that, well, without history, it'd be hard to come up with that number probably, but it would be a flat rate for everybody, say for, 90 days or 120 days, you pay X amount on wastewater and based on,
Has any community ever required to start putting back cisterns? Where you collect all the water, the side of your house off your gutter, and you use that for your watering of your yard?
A lot of people are starting to do that.
and you see
Some
something.
water conservation, but not a requirement.
Because both my houses had cisterns that were fairly large. That one had one also. It seemed like it was a good idea, and I don't know why communities went away from it. Collecting that water.
Cisterns were used for all kinds of purposes back in the day before.
Yeah, washing
drinking water
clothes.
was-
Yeah,
Right.
right. I don't know what to do here because
Well, he brings up some good points that we can discuss going forward, but I think he's here looking for some resolution this evening. And while I don't doubt your sincerity, I don't doubt you're going to do exactly what you're saying, but it still comes back to like what Alex was saying. Once we start down that path, it will open the floodgates. It will.
Shame on the builder for not
And
discussing that with you.
And that's what I wanted to end with,
Yeah.
as far as whichever way this goes.
Mhm.
Adam, there may not be anything and there probably not, but is that something that you or Joe, go out there and just say, speak to the sales rep, sales agent and say, this needs to be communicated. This is just
Right.
kind of a common sense deal, right?
You can expect
so-
on X amount when you sod your yard and X amount when depending on what time of year it is, makes a difference too.
Well, obviously you were dealing through the builder yourself. I don't know if you had your own realtor or not, but there was a lot of folks that, this could have been prevented. You mentioned the swimming pool. Yeah, I suppose it's a luxury. We didn't put it in. I inherited it when I bought the house. So kind of the same issues. I have a couple of same things. I didn't know how much it was going to cost to keep this thing full and do all that. I found out rather quickly, just like you did. And my choices were similar. I got to do it, or I've got all kinds of issues with a pool that's half full and a mosquito heaven. I can pay to have it taken out, but now I'm talking thousands of dollars like you. So then I'm kind of caught, right? What do I do? So it's one of those things I didn't know going into it either, but it's one of those things that I think that right now for what you're looking for, I don't doubt your sincerity. I think you're genuine. I do that, but to decide on that tonight, I think we're setting a dangerous precedent. I'm just one. I think that you bring up some things that we can certainly discuss going forward.
Right.
That's not going to help you tonight.
And if I may propose, I don't know if this is possible with the variance or just an agreement from the council and the legality of possibly a $300 credit is going to, one, fix the problem of ensuring that I'm not just out there turning my sprinkler on 24/7.
right.
And at that point, I believe just from the calculations I've had from the first month of living there to this, I will still be out $300-400 on waste at the end of the day at September. But this would just address the wastewater itself. I'd still be paying the water I'm using, as I previously stated. I'm not arguing that at all. But if that is possible, just a small allowance or credit, $300 that addresses the issue of holding me accountable. That's obvious. That's a smart idea to hold the citizens. Otherwise, one, you're setting a bad precedent of everyone's going to be coming in here and they're going to be turning their water on and you're going to be dealing with other issues. But that would just be my proposal. It would just be a small credit, $300 $400. That would be calculated from May until September. It's still not going to cover everything, but it would just be a small amount just to help on the household. I had $255, and last month was, I believe, $83 in waste, and it was a $115 bill. Sorry, it was $83 in waste, and I believe $40 in water usage. That was just from the first week we lived there in water usage.
Can you remind me what your consumption was on pure water?
Let me see here. Present reading was 67,300. The previous reading was 30,000. Total consumption 37,300. I can hate you. And if any of you would like to look at it, just
Right.
That's all right.
here, I fully understand. But
Again, I believe you, and I think the issue is still the same. I mean, $300 credit seems, you're asking, it's a small amount, what you're asking for, you're saying, but the issue is still the same in that, who's to say that, your neighbor, or as those lots start to fill, hey, I need a 300, you already did it for our first resident, it's still a slippery slope. And so I can't, again, I feel for your situation, I do. This should have been something that was made a little more clear to you, but I just can't get there.
And maybe we can take a look at it, have a discussion. It might come back to where you get a credit later if we can come to some kind of, because we don't want to set that precedent without thinking about everybody that's
Right.
coming, because we have a lot
Plus-
coming and they're all going to be the same way, especially if the builder chooses not to explain that. And I think it'd be a good way to take a look at it. Let us discuss it. And then there might be a credit forthcoming for you, but to make a decision on it, I just don't think it's a good idea for us just because of what's coming behind you.
I do understand it's a complicated issue.
Yeah.
I just want to address it,
Right.
hear your guys' thoughts.
Sure.
If I can come to a resolution for this. You guys do give me credit, I'll keep it quiet. I won't tell
He has been recorded.
You're on YouTube now,
So wave to the camera.
If there is possible, I could receive notice of another hearing. If you guys have any further questions, I'd be happy either to come in, talk with the town manager, or you guys at a later date.
Right.
But I'd be more than happy to do that.
Well, what I want to do is get ahead of this anyway, because this is going to happen. We've got homes on Ohio that are getting ready to be built, and we've got all the houses over here at Vernon Point, or Vernon North. So I know this is going to be an issue that we need to tackle right away, because when we had it before, it was just Windstone. They're coming on strong over there also. Do you know what Windstone is doing over there to warn them about? Oh, okay, Paul.
They're putting sod on any of the houses that closed this year. If they sod the front and the two sides. And if there's a trail, then they do the back yard.
And are they telling the people about the?
I'm not sure if they're telling them that.
Okay.
They're having to go through a lot of
Right.
water watering it.
Right.
And I closed last year and reseeded my yard, and I couldn't afford to keep watering.
Right.
And so I'm still struggling trying to get my yard.
Does anybody ever use retention ponds
We're not supposed to.
You're not supposed to? Okay. I didn't know. I just curious.
Live on one of the retention ponds. That's what people are doing.
I know some people are doing it legally, then, or they're just nobody knows they're doing it. Because I was thinking about I have a well in my house that's still active. It's a well from 100 years ago, and I could run a pipe down. I could run a pump down there and start pumping it up, but I just never did because I have a small yard. But I'm just looking for solutions, and I thought of that the cistern a while back ago, and I was wondering why communities just don't do it. You just have a 400-gallon cistern under your house, and you use that to water your yards.
Well, one of the concerns that we would have when we all get back together, the way my brain works here is, we're talking about a new water plant at some point. We just mentioned it already today, and I'm glad Lou's here
Right.
because, whatever those plans for a water plant, and if we're going to allow for sprinkler credits or anything like that, certainly it's something we can discuss. How much bigger does this water plant need to get? And that's not something that can be answered tonight, but that's what we would have to think about to ensure we have the capacity.
Yeah, and they only let you build to capacity, right? You can't over abundant on your capacity through IDEM.
Yeah, your issue, if you don't know, it is during these warm summer months. Your average use almost triples in some cases, and that's where you get stung. And that's all the state cares about is where your max days run out. So getting control of the sprinkling situation is huge for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as bad as it was last year. The aeration device that was put in this year is saving them, but it's tough. So it's something that we really can't wait on. Really.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, no
Well,
problem. I appreciate you guys' time discussing it.
Thank you for coming.
I was not
And-
trying to come off rude at all, just wanted to
Not at
reasonably
all.
discuss it. And
I
not
know
seem
the
like a
frustration.
neighbor coming to yell at you guys, so I
No.
appreciate
Do we have
it.
your contact information?
Yes,
Joe has
I
it.
do not believe I had it on the letter. Joe, do you have the letter I submitted?
You know,
It's
it's in somebody's packet I saw earlier, but
I can write it down, that would be fine.
I do have it on my desk.
But Joe has it. We're good. He can send it out to us. Yeah.
I want to thank you for choosing Fortville to move here also.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to the future with you and your fiance. Did you say?
Yes,
I get out and about. I'll stop by and visit you guys. Okay.
no problem.
All right.
Yeah, Golden Doodle jumps a little bit, but he's all right.
All right.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Unfinished.
Well, Alex,
Oh.
did that need any motion to make that official, or are we,
I think you should, just to close the issue, to.
What do we got to do?
we're gonna make I'll make a
You're either
motion.
gonna uphold or.
Yeah.
Or waive.
Oh, okay.
I've got it. I'll make a motion that we uphold our current utility policy and deny the request by the resident as proposed.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, unfinished business. Council to consider second reading of ordinance 2020-6A, amending sewer connection fees.
Again, this is the sewer rate ordinance amendment that we had our public hearing on roughly an hour ago, a little less than an hour ago. And again, this is to add in the cost for the sewer capacity for the new development, new connections. It is not a additional charge for current residents.
Thank you.
It is for new development to help fund the growth or the expansion of the sewer system and the sewer plant and any needed upgrades.
What was the two totals? 1,700 and 2,500?
$1,700 for in-town for capacity fee, and for out-of-town rate is $2,550.
2,550.
And one of you mentioned what other surrounding communities are doing. That puts us right in line with our
That puts
neighbors.
us, yeah, right, about what they're at or lower.
We're
Right.
still lower than.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're still lower.
Yeah, we've been exceptionally low on our connection fee for sewer.
Right. Do you have any,
You ready?
I'm going to ask again, do we have any public comment on the sewer rate increase? Okay, thank you.
Make a motion, move forward on the second reading, ordinance 2020-6A, amending the sewer connection fees as presented.
My second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, reports. Joe.
Yeah, I got a couple of items here to report on. The, our plow truck that has been in really bad shape that we talked about, having a busted frame and all. We're purchasing a new truck with a GEO bond, general obligation bond that the town adopted beginning of this year, end of last. We have been dragging our feet a little bit on going out to bid on a particular truck because we wanted to get the specs right, just with everything else going on. As it turns out, I think what we were originally looking at was probably a truck that might have been a little too light for what we were looking for. It's even lighter than what we've got now. But with that, we have got the specs together. They've been mailed out, certified mail to several dealers to get us quote bids on these particular trucks. We will open bids here on August 7th.
Is that a ton or 3/4 ton?
It's like equal to like a Ford 850 or something like that. It's like the big white Ford that we got in the back. But we're looking at like Mack and Freightliner and some of the bigger ones. What we found, which I don't want to offend anybody, but I think some of the smaller manufacturers that make regular duty for your personal use, sometimes when you start getting into the larger trucks, they're just not exactly what maybe strong enough as what some of the tried and true trucks are built for, that type of thing, which is, I believe, why we got busted frame and some of the other issues we have.
Okay.
All right. The other thing I was gonna bring up is NDOT went out to bid on the Main Street project. They had 5 bidders on that project. The low one was E&B paving. I did not bring the exact amount of their bid, but the town of Fortville's portion, the 20% match, will be $412,580. So they have recently invoiced us that amount, and that should finish us up on the Main Street project.
Joe, the good news on that, the best part you left out. How much was the savings? Those bids.
Well, I don't know, I may have spoken a little soon.
Uh-oh.
It
Okay.
did come in, it probably did come
Can't
in
take it
about,
back.
yeah. It probably came in about $200,000 lower than the estimated bid. But as I brought up at the RDC meeting the other night, part of the bid was 80-20 money that was split with NDOT and 20% was the town of Fortville. There's some items within that bid that is 100% local that NDOT does not participate in, the feds didn't participate. And didn't really have those numbers until NDOT went item to item.
Still helps us out though.
But we're still, we
Yeah.
still come in.
Yeah.
We still come in low. So I can't tell you the exact number, how much lower.
That's all right.
So that went out for bid,
Yes.
and then they're projecting to start.
The, part of the contract for NDOT and the contractor is for them to start after the first of the year. The idea was not to interrupt the businesses on Main Street during their busy time, which is the fall and winter time of the year. So after the first of the year, when things slow down a little bit, would be when the contractor would start.
Same plans as we had last discussed as far.
Okay.
And is CSX waiting for us to start our project for them to do the tracks, or?
Totally separate. CSX moves at their own pace. They've been notified about the crossing being in bad shape multiple times. I have seen them up in Pendleton doing some work on the crossings. Unfortunately, I've not seen them leave Madison County heading this way yet.
So who put the asphalt in?
Haven't looked. It could have been CSX.
Because I
Ed
know.
Clark, who knows?
And if I did know somebody else, I would say.
We're glad they did, whoever did it.
Uh-huh.
And then the last item is our paving project from last year is finishing up. They've finally tore out Alden Drive. So most of the concrete between Brooks and Holiday Drive has been removed. It's got the stone base in, and hopefully if the weather holds off, we'll be getting the asphalt in pretty soon.
You have any questions for Joe? There was a sinkhole or something that was on Facebook last night or something. It was real late. A little hole. Did you address that?
I know
Did
the
they
guys
call?
were out working on it. I never did hear what the kind of got into.
Okay, you don't know if there's a water leak under there or what?
It
Okay,
could be a collapse sewer, it could be one. I know the guys were on it today.
okay, good. Thank you. Heath, Parks Manager, do you have anything for us tonight? Well, you're on
We're
the
always
Parks
on
Manager.
there. You're always on
You're
there.
always on there every time.
Thanks for just being here.
We just usually say, well, you didn't come again tonight.
The answer is no.
Okay, thank you.
Dog park's good. Concrete's done. We're gonna start working on shade this week down there.
Nice.
So,
Thank you.
anybody got any questions for me?
Do you need any more dog, what do you call it? Permits or whatever?
Yeah, we're sitting at
Numbers?
about, people wise, registration wise, we're between, I think, 25 and 30. I just got a new one today. I haven't looked at it. Dog wise, we're above 30. We're somewhere between 30 and 35 because people have some multiple dogs. So,
That's fine.
Thank you.
thank you.
Adam? You have any, any questions for Adam? Okay, thank you. Clerk Treasurer's not here. Chief, you're up. Oh, I got to pull his report. I saw it here somewhere.
For the record, Bill Kennard, Chief of Police. I have nothing.
What?
You have yeah, I know. You have the report in front of you, the monthly report for June. I did want, I'll take that back. I lied. We did get in under our geo bond one of our new police cars. You know what? We ordered two the same day, and you'd think they would build them the same day, but they don't. So they built one, and hopefully they're going to build the second one. I want to say July 23rd, and we'll probably get it the second week of August. But other than that,
It's already ready for the road. It's been all.
no, it's not upfitted yet.
Oh, that's not
It's at passive security now. It's all the equipment's ordered. It's been ordered. It's just needs to be upfitted. So that'll take probably another week, and then it'll be road ready.
So which cars is this one replacing?
This one is replacing, well, we've got 4 cars coming, 2 this year and 2 in 21 with the Geo bond. This car was initially going to replace car 10, I believe, which is Officer Graffiti's car. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and replace Shelley's car so we can get the Taurus to the town, because they're going to use the Taurus as a town vehicle. So that's the plan right now. We just got to change the lights, take the red and blue lights out, and leave the red lights and the white and put in amber lights. But that cost us not all me. So, so that's it. Any other questions?
Any questions? Thank you.
All right.
Alex, you have anything for us?
I have one thing to follow up with you. I emailed you about the possibility of pursuing a claim in the bankruptcy suit against Purdue Pharma. For the public's awareness, a lot of the opioid litigation has been in the news for months and months. Several communities in Indiana and across the United States sued several of the opioid pharmaceutical companies directly. Many of those suits are arriving at settlement, whatnot. Purdue Pharma filed for bankruptcy, but there is, in Fortville, I should back up, did not participate in any of those lawsuits directly against the pharmaceutical companies. Purdue Pharma has filed bankruptcy. As part of that bankruptcy proceeding, the bankruptcy judge is allowing communities, whether they participated in a lawsuit or not, so Fortville can participate, to seek money and file a claim against Purdue Pharma to get a portion of what Fortville would be entitled to, going back to, I believe, damages starting in 2003 and then moving forward approximately 25 years. The online calculator that the court approved and that we plugged in Fortville says best case scenario, and it's never the best case scenario.
Right.
The best case scenario would be more than $2 million. We would expect that if the claim was successful, well, one, this is my question for you, if you want to pursue the claim. If the claim is successful, you have to anticipate it's going to be nowhere near that $2 million. If it is, awesome. I'd love to be wrong about that. But one thing's for sure, if you don't file the claim, the amount's going to be zero. There is, like anything, the chance that it is still a zero. I mean, it's litigation, but I suspect that's a pretty low risk. And so just wanted to follow up with you to see if you wanted me to have my partner, David Jerkowitz, move forward with filing the claim, for other communities, the legal fees behind it, somewhere between $500 and $1,500, just depends on how complicated it is, but it's not a huge lift. And Tommy, you'd asked if the legal fees would be covered by the recovery. I think yes, but it could come
You don't
to
know,
zero.
yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
guarantee that, but my advice is I think it's an opportunity that certainly Fortville, like so many communities, has been impacted by the opioid crisis, and this would be the opportunity to potentially get some money to address those issues. And as of right now, I may have answered this question in email, but there isn't a restriction on what you use any funds that you receive from this claim on. So if you wanted to put it towards Knauer's folks or, any of Joe's projects or otherwise
Right.
you could. So we go into the general fund, we could, utilize the money as you saw that. There is a deadline to get the claim, and so I wanted to talk to you about that tonight, to get David.
What's the date? What's the deadline?
The end of this month.
End of this month. So we'd have to make a decision tonight
Yeah,
because there's
we
no
should.
other meeting. They're filing bankruptcy. And let's say the bankruptcy and then there's no money left. Are they're gonna liquidate whatever they got to make sure that they cover their
This is very limited, not a bankruptcy lawyer understanding. They've already filed, so this is in bankruptcy court. And part of the bankruptcy settlement involves having a pool of money that will be allocated to the various claimants. And so that's where the website that I sent you, where you can plug in, Fortville and see what the anticipated ask would be. And so that's what your claim would be for. We use that formula. And then the bankruptcy court is going to look at all the claims that come in.
Yeah.
That amount of money, and that's why.
Yeah, how many small towns are doing the same thing? Could there be like 10,000?
There could be. I suspect there are a lot of small towns in Indiana and otherwise that unfortunately just aren't aware of this and they missed the deadline.
And this is just for Indiana or the whole nation? The whole United
It might
States?
be the entire United States.
Okay, so even if we do win, it's gonna be divided up pretty small piece of pie.
More than likely, but you can
Right.
divide $2 million+ quite a bit and still, you can divide it by a pretty healthy number and probably go to a pretty good chunk of a police car or a
Right.
plow or
Things need to come out ahead of the bill.
community program or what have you.
Could we, the attorney that's doing this, has he made any kind of indication on how many people have filed suit?
I haven't asked him, but if, I can get a general number. I suspect you're right, Chris.
Right. Because I sue people too, and most of the time I don't get paid because they just file bankruptcy or they just, it costs me more money to try to collect it than it's worth my time. I'm just putting that out there. It's
all indications.
Same with
I
me.
understand what you're saying, but this is different in that there's money there. So you can't file bankruptcy on your bankruptcy.
right.
Right? So there's money there. The town has been damaged, and so you're an appropriate claimant. The best case, again, is that $2 million. We're talking billions of dollars of settlement proceeds here, so.
Okay.
It's up to you. I mean, I understand, times are tight, and
I'm gambling that not all small towns are gonna do it, and there's gonna be more
It's like
press in
playing a
it.
lottery
It
ticket.
is. I mean, we
It's
just
a
have to
gamble.
bet that it's gonna come out more than our bill, right? So I
Yeah,
think it's
I
a
mean-
pretty small bet myself. We can put a cap on there that, which I'm ready to make the motion. It sounds like we're all kind of in agreement.
Right. I'd be just curious how many communities have filed for this.
You can find out.
But then we still gotta then we'd have to have a quick meeting
Yeah.
together
I
next
think
week
we're
or
just.
something.
I think we're-
It's okay. It's not a lot of money.
I think,
No, $500 to $1,500.
For what we can gain.
Yeah.
If we're gonna gain more than that 1,500,
Okay.
which it is a gamble, you're gambling 1,500, but the return probably is much greater.
Okay.
You know, we might double our money. Okay, so
1501.
that's, who cares? I mean, it's harder than
Cheap
not,
a
you
cup
know,
of
so.
coffee.
I'll make a
just trying to be
motion.
devil's advocate because I've sued people and it seems like it always,
It does. I
ends
don't
up
win
costing
either,
me
so
more
I get
money
it.
in
Yeah.
attorney fees and.
I'm the same
everything
way.
else. So, do we all want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. We approve to go forward with the Purdue Pharma case not to exceed the cost of $1,500.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
all right,
Thanks, Alex.
started, thank you.
All righty. Public comment. Please. Yeah, please come out. I can't see who that is. Yeah, that's like that thing.
My first one.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So my name is Natasha Retz, and I'm a citizen of Fortville. and I appreciate the council members allowing me to speak today. I am here tonight to implore the town of Fortville to require a mask mandate in order to slow the spread of the coronavirus. I've written down my statement just so that I make sure that I don't lose any of my summary that I was trying to make sure and my points I wanted to make sure I got out. Having done extensive research on the topic, I've come to the conclusion that wearing a mask around others when unable to physically distance could save our residents' health and lives, as well as our community's economy. I sought information from Indiana and Hancock County Public Health, and as of July 18th, 2020, Indiana has reported 662 new cases in the last 8 days of coronavirus. In contrast to the end of March of this year, Indiana had a total of 1,786 cases total. Today, there are 58,607. Hancock County also shows a large rise in cases, with April 28th, 2020 showing 183 positive cases and 516 cases as of today. The medical and scientific experts all claim that wearing a mask along with physical distancing is necessary in order to stop the spread of this virus. Both the Centers of Disease Control and the World Health Organization recommend wearing a mask when unable to socially distance 6 feet or more around others. OSHA is following CDC guidelines and also recommends that employees that work with others wear a mask when unable to socially distance. A news article published by Reuters on July 14, 2020 states that Robert Redfield, director of the CDC, stated that if all Americans would wear a mask, the rising cases, quote unquote, of COVID-19 would be under control in 4 to 8 weeks. The CDC analyzed data from an internet survey of a national sample of 503 adults during April 7th through 9th, 2020, and found that 62% would wear a mask outside of the home. That study was performed again on May 11th through 13th, 2020, and found that 76% of adults would wear a mask outside of the home. As of July 17th, 2020, 28 states, as well as Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico, have issued mask mandates. Indiana has many cities and counties who have issued mask mandates as well. Some of those are LaGrange County, West Lafayette, Marion County, Elkhart County, and Monroe County. Many national retailers have now required masks inside of their stores as well, such as Target, Walmart, Aldi's, Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, Costco, Kroger, CVS, Starbucks, and Walgreens. We should not force our businesses to decide whether or not they want to keep their employees healthy or risk losing revenue because they have to be the first or one of the few that require a mask. This should be a united stance that Fortville takes, which shows that they truly care about their citizens. The economic fallout from the lack of a federal mask mandate has been gathered and studied by Goldman Sachs, and it shows that 5% GDP, or gross domestic product, or $1 trillion could have been saved with a federal mask mandate. There are a small percentage of people who are unable to use a cloth mask, which case the CDC and WHO recommend using a face shield or some other method of face covering. We know that we are still in the midst of the first wave of this pandemic. Experts agree that a second wave will occur as early as the fall. Another shutdown of our economy will send us spiraling again. The stimulus package that was voted upon by Congress and given to Americans was not sustainable for most families during this time of crisis. If another wave sends us back to an unemployment whirlwind we suffered at the beginning of this year, the cumulative damage may be devastating. We need to be proactive and show the state of Indiana that Fortville truly cares about its residents, its local businesses, and its economy. And I appreciate the time that you've given me, and I look forward to hearing what your thoughts about this.
Well, I own a restaurant-ish ice cream store, and we have to wear a mask to work. And I personally choose to wear a mask when I go into stores and things like that. I'm not real keen on government telling me I have to do it, though. But
I agree.
I'm open to conversation on it. I feel like there are a lot of people in town that are very against it, and that's their choice, and they're right. And I don't judge those that choose to wear it all of the time.
Sure. If I may, they have actually done a study in the last 2 weeks of the states that are not requiring face masks. Their cases have rose by 84%. There have been 12 states that they've studied that have required the face mask, and their cases have decreased by 25%. So it's just a little food for thought. I understand what you're saying. I just wanted to kind of bring this to the attention. I know right now our schools are requiring face masks for our children and our administrators. So I feel that it's a momentum kind of that's coming our way. And it would be nice if we were more proactive. So I appreciate your thoughts on this, and I'd be more than happy if I can leave my information.
Sure.
If anyone would like me to leave it with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I have 2 little ones I have to get home to, so I would love to stay for more public comment, but I appreciate your time.
Well,
All right, thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay. Public comment. Oh, come on.
Hi, Cheyenne Hoffa. I live in Timber Ridge. I just wanted to comment on what the previous concerned citizen said. I'm an OSHA representative at my workplace in Indianapolis. Like many people, probably commute to Indianapolis to work where we're required to wear a mask. Sorry, I know, and you can't hear. And you have no idea what I'm saying because my mouth, and it's annoying. It's really annoying to wear. And I know it's hard to enforce. But the first thing you learn in OSHA is that you need to set a good example. And like she said, the kids are going to be required to wear them. I think the adults wearing them first is a really good example to set. I don't like wearing this at all, but I care about the elderly people in town. I care about people's kids, just like she did. But I just wanted to let you guys know that I felt like that as well. So
Thank you.
Thanks, Diane.
Good evening, Council. My name is Matt Lipan, and I am the pastor at Gateway Community Church of Fortville. First, I want to say thank you. Thanks for giving us permission to do church in the park through the month of July. That's been a really great experience. The second thing I want to ask for you to consider is an extension of that. With COVID issues and a congregation that is very diverse in age, being outdoors has proven to be a thing that a lot of the members, we're located at 125 East Stat Street, right next to Landmark Park, former Fortville First United Methodist Church building. And they have responded with excitement. And so I've come here to ask for you to consider extending that permission through the first Sunday of September, which would be Labor Day weekend. So the 6th of September is what I'm asking you to consider to extend us permission to do church there in Landmark Park. And I'll take any questions that you.
I don't think there's,
Yeah,
Joe,
I
or
don't think there's a problem.
is any issues with the park? Okay.
How
Can I
many-
get a motion?
How many folks have been
sorry.
attending?
We've been right around 100.
Oh, that's good.
What time is your church service there?
10 a.m.
10.
You want to make a motion that we?
I initially have some, I have some initial concerns about that for more than, I didn't realize there were that many people coming out
Sure.
there, right? And
I'm not sure that we anticipated that.
right,
there
which
was,
is
so-
which is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's not- yeah, right. So I guess another question was when the ask initially came through, I thought it was more of just kind of a short term. Let's try this out. What's the long term? Is this because I do have a little concern on if thinking down the road, is this going to be a future request every year where we have church in the park for, every summer or fall, or then is that the plan, or you haven't thought that far ahead?
Sure. I mean, as I can't predict the future, but
Sure.
that's certainly not the plan. I mean, our plan is to be in our space. We want to be in our building. We want to be in the space that was built in 1901 and be there safely. And we feel like at this point that we're not able to do that safely, or we're not prepared to do that
Sure.
safely, as we've been just kind of renovating and moving into the space. And so the response of the congregation to being outside honestly has been a pleasant surprise
Sure.
to me. And so as we had a leadership team meeting last night and kind of talked about it, and so I said I would come and ask for that extension. Yeah.
What does that look like? I apologize. Obviously, I have not seen that. So what's that look like? Have you said, what's that service look like?
Yeah. So we kind of set up the stage area, if you will, kind of there at the gazebo, kind of at the steps there. And then just invite people to spread out and bring their own chairs, blankets, picnic, kind of just, we have a lot of young kids. So it's like, parents figure out stuff for them to be entertained and then just kind of spread out.
Chief?
Yeah, not that, I typically don't work on Sundays, but where's everybody parking?
We're parking in the church parking lot, as well as there along help me with the name of that road. Well, what's the name of the road between the church and the land? Veterans.
Court.
Yep.
Yeah.
Parking there. And then my understanding is that the funeral home
Yes.
also has an arrangement with the church that they've expressed permission to park in the funeral home across the street. It is not. Yet.
What?
Great.
What?
Oh.
We need to hear that more often. Parking's not an issue.
Uh,
That never
More than enough right now. Yeah.
All right.
The hope is that, we'll grow and
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you for answering those.
yeah. Any other questions or anything else you need from me?
I make a motion to extend the church usage request in the park as requested.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Good evening. I'm Garen Waters. I know several of you and have met with you. First thing, I want to thank you for the courtesies you extended me on a teleconference about a month and a half ago. So thank you for that. I live at 9544 and 200W, and that's at the Pike and then going out to the school. I am representing, obviously, myself, my daughter in California, and my daughter who lives on the homestead. It is a 10-acre tract that goes from the Pike back to the Cal Jackson. Basically, what I am concerned about, and I'm going to read some of my notes here. Some of you didn't know that there is a barn on the property. There are animals and so on, but you do now from the conference. The ag portion is farmed by the Garst brothers, Dave Garst. I have recently received the eminent domain proposal. So you have the property, it's going to be developed for the trails. But it has created some problems for me personally. I do have concerns. In 2014, the town did propose an annexation of the properties west of the Pike and down to the school. It was with financial support and a lot of emotional drain. We did win a victory. And it wasn't because people didn't want to be Fortville. Fortville's a great little town. But it is a preference for some people of lifestyle. We do have people who like all kinds of lifestyles. Some people like their sports. Some prefer basketball. Some like football. Some like golf. Some don't like sports at all. They like the arts. Some people really thrive in the big city atmosphere. They love to live with the bright lights and the glitz and the action. There are other people who like the quaintness of small towns. There are people who like the serenity and peace of rural living. That would be me. I love to look over a ripening wheat field as the night grows dark and see the fireflies dancing around over the top. Love to stand in the cornfield on a night when the full moon's rising. You can hear the corn growing. It's a beautiful thing. It speaks to my soul. My lifestyle is who I am. So with that in mind, I do have concerns. I'm not getting a lot of communication from here, from Fortville. I'd like a little more communication. I'd like to work with you to make these trails beautiful. Currently, today I put in a new security system with Brinks. I'd like to send you the bill for that. Your actions are responsible for what I'm having to do. I did not accept the offer of eminent domain, $3,450. You can't put a check or write a check for a lifestyle. It just doesn't work. But we can work together, and I'm hoping that you will help me. I was asked by, what was it, Forkham? Mark Forkham? To submit a counter offer. And he told me, yeah, go get your estimates. So I have done that. I will submit them in writing to you and to him. And happened, I was out of town for like 3 or 4 weeks. But I am back. I have asking you to support me in putting up a security fence. I need protection and security from supposedly the volumes of people that will be on the trails that are now my property, but will be your property. The security fence from Fence America, America Fence, $12,330. Just giving you some figures to look at as we move ahead. The security system today was $325. The excavation to do some mounding and security and privacy with Jade Hunt Excavating, $5,000. So you see the $3,450 from eminent domain was simply numbers on ag property thrown into a computer and generated out. So as we move ahead, I hope we can work with some great landscaping, some good land moving. In my proposal package, I've been offered $900 to park heavy moving equipment, graders, on my property. I wouldn't do that to any of you. I wouldn't suppose I could, okay, we're going to park road graders, tractors. 7 o'clock in the morning, we're going to start our day. 5 o'clock, 6 at night, we're going to wrap it up. Clanging, banging, dust. No one needs that. When there's a field across the street, big open field, I think your trail's supposed to go there. I can't even get an accurate place on where the trail's going to go. Is it on my side? Is it on their side? Part of it is. So I need some communication. It's very nebulous. The trails are referred to Fortville Trail, Mount Vernon Trail. Are there two trails? Is one Fortville? Fortville Trail?
I've never heard Fortville Trail.
It's in my documents. So a lot of nebulous. I'd love to set up an appointment with Adam. Where did he go? Adam gone here?
Yeah, he just went that way.
Okay, he missed me. And perhaps, Joe,
I
you
can
could
get
sit down.
I can get the engineer.
Right.
But I'd like to sit down with the engineer. Let's look at this. I can't really know what to ask you for support when I don't know myself what I'm dealing with.
Right.
You did a great job. Not against the trails. Would I have chosen it? No. I want my lifestyle. But that's a done deal. I realize it. People say, don't bother. They're not going to do anything for you. I think you will. I think you want to work with me. We don't have to have just trails that go out to the school. We need to have pretty trails, landscaped, planned, out of the box thinking. You've got it. You can do it. So look forward to making it bigger and better. But I don't want people parked in my yard. I've got dogs. I've got grandkids. I'm tired. You can imagine. But anyhow, thank you for hearing me. Like I said, you can't write a check and pay for what you're doing to me. But I hope you'll work with me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Council, you may not comment, but I advise you not to comment on the condemnation. It's an ongoing process. You're nodding yes, you know. I just wanted to jump in just.
Where is her property at? I don't even know where it is.
Northwest.
It's the corner.
200 west of Fortville.
As you turn to go out to the school.
Yeah.
To go out the pike, make a right down the corner and the 10 acres straight back. It's been there on family's 5th generation.
The big white house on the corner.
Yeah, but it's back further. It's in the corner, but it's in the back. It's the north.
Yeah,
Anything
next to the
else?
church,
west
Christian
side.
church.
We have had
Back in there,
several appointments.
behind that.
There's two houses back there.
Yeah.
When do you like to start?
But it's not even on that side.
Whenever.
The trail is, yeah, it goes right
I
down
go
their
during the
yard.
day. I'll
The
work
trail's
myself.
on the opposite side.
Mhm.
Yeah,
She's,
It crosses 200 and goes on the other side.
Joe, would you point on the map there, just to eliminate any confusion there, to where the
Where the
proposal
trail
park,
goes.
Where that
trail,
red line is.
She's right here.
right.
Okay, but, oh.
So it's gonna go
okay.
in front of,
The trail will go down
It
this
goes
side
across
of
and jumps
Fortville
over.
Pike,
It jumps over.
jumps 200.
Yeah.
goes on
Right.
this side.
It's
so it
not
does
on-
go across slightly.
Okay. Well,
That's a small bit.
Hmm?
It's a very small bit.
yeah, just no comment.
Okay.
Thank you.
What goes through? Yeah.
I'm Paul Cook, 719 North Crystal Drive over in Windstone. And I live on a retention pond, and on the other side of the pond is the property pros. And Tim Hexmer, a former board member, had told me that there had been a great deal of discussion about putting in berms or some kind of plantings to help block the view. I know it's 4 of you are all new.
Right.
But the problem is they've got a lot of weeds growing back there that they're not cutting. And I just wondered, maybe Joe or Robert can recall what they were determined to do as far as a fence or a berm with plantings. They put in a real little one, but it doesn't hide everything.
Right.
And every day their trucks come back. I can't breathe. Their trucks come back, dump piles of stuff from their landscaping work, and then they take it back, and they've got a huge pile of rubbish, you know, that I'm sure eventually will be mulch. But, you know, it's an eyesore from the back of my house.
Okay.
I don't remember off the top of my head what the requirements were, but we've got them in writing. There was
Right.
commitments that were-
There were commitments.
We can look up this.
Yeah, I just wonder what they agreed to and
Sure.
if they're conforming to that.
Joe's right, and then it's gonna be a county issue still as well. I mean, the committee-
Oh, Adam's back.
They're actually in town, they were in it. They came out. Okay.
Yeah, it is in Fortville over there.
Good. We just need to pull those commitments and see what they.
We'll do that. We'll check it out. Thank
Thank you.
Come on, Nancy. Come on up here.
I can't talk either. I'm really hoarse to begin with. First of all, I want to come up to you and request a change of date for our festival. But before I even say that, I'd like to thank all of the town council members for being there that day, witnessing the disaster that we had. I am sorry to Libby. She was.
Oh, I look like I jumped in a pool.
Well, we
It was
all
horrible.
looked really bad. So, but I do appreciate that you all came together and you worked on it together. And that's what's wonderful about what happened that day. That's the only thing wonderful about it. But I saw that you all worked together and it was great. So I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciated that. Our new date would be August 22nd. It's a Saturday. We aren't planning on changing anything, just putting the same thing up and taking the same thing down, and everything would remain the same. Our vendors will be the same vendors if they want to come back. We might add a few vendors. I doubt it. I'm just ready to move it on and go on.
Are the bands able to come back? Were you able to get?
We are working on bands right now. We have one for sure, one maybe, but we'll have bands. We will have music. It will just maybe be different bands. I was really hoping to hear the bluegrass, but we'll see if we can get another one. Just something different than what we normally have. So that's one thing I am here to ask, is if we can change the date to August 22nd. If it doesn't happen on August 22nd, it's not going to happen. That's just my.
No rain date?
No rain, no, this is the rain date. No more rain date. No snow date, no hail date, no, nothing, no.
My only question is, and I only saw that, I know I shouldn't watch TV, right? But was there an additional ad here recently, Alex, about health department request, or was that just something for indoors? I just thought I thought I heard it was an add-on for large events. And it just took effect, I thought.
I think it's just the same, isn't it, Alex? The
Yeah,
same
it's
4.5.
Which
Yeah,
they
it
did
hasn't changed.
Well, it's still
4.5.
4.5, but I thought I heard there was an added thing in there. That's why.
That was just Marion County wanted to
Yeah.
add
Okay.
more.
I don't have any problem
And
with the date. That's right. I don't have any problem with the date. I just want to make sure
Yeah.
we're all going to be in
Well, I'm with the
compliance.
two people that came up here and said, let's all wear masks. I'm
Very good.
100% for that. So we will definitely
What?
encourage.
I just didn't want to skip.
Who knows what?
Well,
Yeah.
I know,
Date
that's
by
true.
August 22nd.
Yeah, we might be.
I just wanted to save a fire drill that, like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to do that.
Right.
Like I said,
I
I thought
gotcha.
I thought it was an add-on, but I don't have any problem with the proposal.
Can I get a motion?
Make a motion, we approve the date change to Saturday, August the 22nd, as proposed.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, I have one more. Our car show is coming up on August the 1st. And I did a map layout. We intend to keep most of our car show, up above the hill area. Does that make sense to you? Where, well, you all know. We intend to use the parking lots at the Boys and Girls, it's not Boys and Girls, what is it?
Community Center.
Community Center. I'm really dating myself, aren't I? At the Community Center, and then the one at Hampton Field. And we'd like to use some of those first parking spots when you come in as handicap. We've pretty much laid it all out. Last year we had 125 cars. We're a little bit late from last year where we're starting, but I'm really starting to see a lot of activity on it and people coming up with interest. I've talked to Floria about using electricity from the township, and we're all good with that. We don't need very much. My only concern is, and I know we've talked about, I can't remember. I'm sorry, I can't remember, but did the council agree to close Church 2, Merrill, or not? I can't remember.
I think we couldn't close it because isn't the clubhouse being used that day?
Right, yes.
You'll have to let
I
those
thought
people
that
in.
was canceled.
No, because they were booked away.
Yeah, there's two
Clubhouse.
functions at the show.
All right, then my other thing is, would it be possible to close off McCarty at church, just so we don't have people trying to turn into if we have what we had last year between 9 and 12, I'd say between 9 and 10, we might have had 100 cars lined up. That's a lot of cars.
We're not gonna have that this year.
Don't say that.
So you're saying
You
just
have enough
close,
people out there, you won't have that. So that's why, if we
Oh,
have
what you're
registering
I
the
see,
cars in, separating them, it'll run a little bit smoother because you don't have them coming in from all different directions.
And I have to be very thankful to Tanya because she's given me a lot of guidance on this. She knows a lot about car shows and she's been very helpful. So I do appreciate that.
We'll try to keep that from happening and stacking up cars.
But I just worry about people, just me. If I had a show car and somebody came around that corner and wanted to push their way in, that's my only concern.
you're just
That
saying
probably
blocking
won't happen.
McCarty, you're just talking about blocking McCarty.
Yeah, that just
Yeah.
short little part
Yeah.
between church and Stat.
I
there's
mean, I don't see any concerns.
Two
Yeah.
houses.
Yeah. That's fine.
Okay, that's all I wanted.
All right.
Are you gonna utilize
Oh, sorry.
the parks parking lot? Where he,
I don't know. I haven't, I had a little bit of conversation with Andrea, just having that conversation with her. It sounds like they only wanted to have it closed, if I'm not mistaken, from 9 to noon, just during that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
open, just so
Yeah.
everybody is aware. I've
It's
already
registration.
contacted the baseball teams that day, and it's told them that they're not gonna be able to, hold practice that day, which half of them are gonna be done for the season.
Probably not.
The shelter house is in the morning, the shelter house rental is canceled. It was a family that does it every year, but they've decided because of COVID that they're not gonna have it. We do have a rental from 5 to 10 that evening.
Oh, great.
Which my understanding, again, talking to Andrea, that it's supposed to be, there might be some stragglers from the car show coming and going. But for the most part, the park will be open for those people to arrive between 5 and 10. So I don't foresee any issues in shelter house now being rented. To answer your question, Libby, about the park, I don't know, I'm not sure, I haven't seen the layout for what this looks like. But like I said, the park itself and being closed, I believe it's just for that 3-hour window. So, whatever the council, I don't necessarily have a problem with it at that point in time outside of, just the general public getting in and out. And I don't, it's been closed in the past for ball day, if I'm not mistaken. Allow for parades and floats and everything else. So I think it can be done. Like I said, I don't know what the structure of everything looks like right now.
Okay.
Well, everything will be in the park except for
Right.
the cars lining up coming in. Everything else will be set up in the park. Is that what you're asking? or-
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I just haven't seen a lot of detail, and I understand that it's still kind of fluid, and you guys are trying to plan it, so I'm okay with that. I'm just saying, I don't know, I don't know. So Nancy, Andrea, whoever is being involved in this car show, they're gonna have more information on it as far as that's concerned.
Okay.
Well, I think,
I think-
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
It's pretty simple.
big
We're just
layout.
parking cars.
Yeah.
Right.
just
Parking cars and setting up a few vendors. So there's
Yeah,
not a lot
that's
going
it.
on.
Anything that Joe or Chief needs about closing McCarty?
No,
Okay,
I think at the last meeting, Andrea was gonna get with me.
okay,
But I've not had any
all right.
communication.
Nancy, I don't, I mean, obviously, I think it looks, I mean, I would say get with the chief and Heath, make sure they know what's going on.
Okay, I'll send you my really clumsy, awful map that I make. I'm not like Joey, I can't make those beautiful maps. Mine's just highlighted.
You don't even need to do that, just a simple email.
Okay,
Just something.
I'll do that as soon as I sit down.
So-
I think at this point in time, it would be you guys just approving that parking closed.
I think it sounds like we're gonna keep it, are we closing or are we keeping it open still?
There isn't anything happening until after 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
So,
and most people aren't gonna be driving in there if they see cars
and
lined
even if
up.
they do come in there, it's not gonna hurt anything.
No.
You
Yeah,
know,
let's
because
just leave
people
it
are gonna
open.
come in anyway. So if they
Right.
want to go to the dog park, they can go to the dog park. And
Well, there's
nothing's gonna be
plenty of
affected
parking
by
if
it.
people are coming to the show, that 10 West has a lot of parking. that
Yeah.
they'll be able
Okay.
to use.
I think,
A few vendors, it's nothing like what we've had, maybe 10 or 12, 15, I don't know. Not many.
You're aware that all that electrical is over on the hand.
Yes, I talked to Floyd.
yeah, Florrie's providing that.
Yeah.
So I think we leave it, I mean, you guys already made plans to leave it open. I think that sounds fine.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have no plans
Yeah.
to close. the
No,
park.
it doesn't need to be
I don't,
closed.
it's already been approved, hasn't it? Do
Yeah.
we have anything to
I just
approve?
wanted to add the McCarty
Oh, yeah. I make a motion, we allow the closure of McCarty
and just tell
Yeah.
till noon.
Second.
So you're gonna
Second.
have somebody there to handle that closure of
Yes.
barricades.
Well, yes. One of my council ward officers is supposed to be getting our volunteers. It's not mine.
Okay. You don't need police.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
They
I
had
do
a-
want to make a comment after,
Okay.
if we're going to do that.
who was the
Just
second?
about barricades.
Oh, hold on,
This,
hold on.
this was not your control. But that storm that came through, the guy that was there, he ran. And that wind came and those barricades blew straight out into Main Street onto oncoming traffic. I don't know if there's like sandbags we can put on those for something like that, even though that makes it harder to move out of the way. But that scared the heck out of me. I
We
jumped out there.
We haven't hardly any notice. I mean.
I know. That's why I'm saying it wasn't like.
And the notice I got, my grandson was up there with me and he said, Grandma, have you seen what just hit in Fishers? And I looked and I ran out and we got on the golf cart and we were already, it was
Yeah, I
too
know.
late.
I know.
It
Well, I was walking
crazy.
home. I was getting tarps to hang around the tent, and it was that wind. It just
Oh, it just
came.
showed up out of nowhere.
But yeah, he left his post, and I saved the white minivan from getting those things slammed on him. And then later, I went up to him and said, "You left your post. You're not supposed to do that." And he said, "Oh, honey, I saw you. You took care of it. It was fine."
Was it the guy?
I was like,
that
"I know where you
was
live."
that-
Yes. Yes. I said, "I know where you live."
Well, he didn't let anybody through other than that.
No. Yeah, he came back nice and dry.
Well, if you saw me that
Sorry.
day.
No, I know.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Well, we had a first, and who seconded that? That's
I did.
Oh,
Tanya? I
second,
did.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There you go.
Okay, town council comments. Wait a minute, sorry. Is there any other public comment?
Anybody left out there that wants to talk?
You sure, Toasty? You don't wanna
Toasty,
come out and say
you're-
something?
No,
Okay. Town council comments. Libby?
I'm good.
Tanya?
No, I'm not gonna say nothing.
Maggie?
You didn't read the thing that Bob Farrell sent you to
I
read.
know, but.
You want me to read it real quick?
Okay.
Let's
I
let me
know.
read it
Both
real
already
quick.
been
Okay.
done
I'll be
now,
glad to
but-
read it. Mr. Bob Farrell does not like the idea over here, the Madison project, and we have a message that he wanted to read to everybody, so I'm gonna read it. My name is Bob Farrell, and I truly love Fortville. It's been my home and place of work for over 77 years. This short 6 sentences objection to the Madison Village proposal follows. Number 1, the Madison Village project is a near identical copy of the recently failed Forza project. They are twin sisters, in his words. Number 2, Madison Village offers nothing new and improved, yet it's only 100 yards away from the failed Forza project site. Number 3, the Madison Village proposal ID at risk of being legally challenged on the basis that its plan has already been decided and settled by the Fortville Council as recently as last year. Number 4, the voters of Fortville could not have been more clear in their overwhelming opposition to Forza through the massive election defeat of the supporters of Forza. MV is Forza X2, times 2, I believe that's what that means. Number 5, In fairness to MVAH partners, they should not be given false hope that the Madison Village project will most likely never become a reality. Board members, you have the vote to stop this proposal now. The people of Fortville have spoken loudly and clearly, and they say no. So please don't put the citizens of Fortville through this again, especially at this time. Thank you for listening, and I hope you unequivocally vote against the Madison Village proposal in total. Respectfully submitted, Bob Farrell, Fortville, Indiana.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So we know how Bob feels.
Robert?
No, I was too excited to share my fire truck news. I already did it. So I got nothing.
Nothing from the trash.
No, actually, no.
Oh, I shouldn't have brought that up.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry.
I actually could not attend the last trash meeting.
Okay.
I was,
That's-
no, I'll make sure I let you know next time.
Okay, I'm not gonna have any comment either.
All right, I make a motion to approve and sign vouchers.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I make a motion, we adjourn at 8:50.
Oh, wow.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I was way out east. I couldn't get away for it. They had a storm, so they were good.
I know. You killed a lot of trees tonight.
Wow, that's the first one I missed in a while.
They don't even fit in my hook.
I know.
Was it you?
Yeah,
I think it was
try
you.
it next time.
I'm looking forward to it because
Yeah.